name is Mohammed Hassim, supervisor of English in Ouarzazate, previously Zagora for 16 years, and about 25 years working in education. This session is not, part of it is marketing, but the greatest part of it is pedagogical. It's an experience that we want to share with you, possibly to inspire you, to think positively, and anything you dream of can take place in reality. It's only you need to have that commitment and belief in a certain idea, and then you work on it, and it will come true. Another thing is that we want to talk about this context of private schools. It's very rare that we professionals, Moroccan professionals, especially in English, talk about the Moroccan context in private schools. Most of the time, we talk about public schools. And even you, when you come to pedagogical meetings, most of the time you talk about the books that you teach officially, but not the books that you teach in primary school, for example, or in first or second year in the middle school. So this is an opportunity to share some worries and ideas and things that you want to talk about. Well, how many of you teach in primary school? 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is an opportunity for them to get exposed through this meeting to those issues that primary school teachers and students deal with. In most schools, the private schools, they have textbooks that are brought from England, or mostly in England, Moroccan and Macmillan, and all of them, most of the time, are designed for students who are learning English as a second language. Our Moroccan context is a context where English is taught as a second foreign language. The first foreign language is French, the second is English. So it's a different context. And what happens in those textbooks is that they are built up in a way that most of them take 90 to 120 hours a year to finish. So do you manage to finish your textbook?
Last year we didn't, but this year we tried to finish.
You tried to finish. Is it easy?
Not all of them. So
yeah. In most cases, students in primary school have only 1 hour a week. Sometimes 45 minutes, sometimes 50 minutes. But I don't think there is more than 1 hour.
No, this year we did 2 hours.
You have 2 hours. So in general, teachers have 36, 32 hours a year to finish a book. And even when you have 2 hours with a heavy loaded book, you find difficulty to supplement the book. And have seen in the previous workshop that students learn from things that you bring as a teacher to the classroom, not from the textbook. The textbook is just a material that paves the way, that helps you programming the lessons and organizing the things that you are going to teach. But the good thing is that when you add something for your students to learn according to their needs and to their daily life. So when we started thinking about Atlas, Mies, Zubair, and others, we didn't think about writing a book. What we were thinking about is to solve certain problems that we have in Moroccan context. Because adding a book is not a good aim. There are plenty of books. 30 or 40 books published by Macmillan, Longman, Cambridge, and so why add another book if you are not to have an added value or to solve certain problems. So what we try to do is to give an example, a model of a Moroccan textbook that responds to Moroccan needs, Moroccan reality. And this is a step into the future. We are not aiming for solving a certain problem at present, but also for the future. Our country is going to opt for teaching English in the primary school, sooner or later. It's a must, because it's part of the globalization and the challenges that we have in the world. So we want to give a sample, a model of a work that can respond to the Moroccan context. And we hope that we succeeded in our work. And we believe that we have succeeded to a certain extent. Now, this book is composed of 6 books from year 1 to year 6, with a teacher's book, a student's book, and a pupil's book, in addition to other materials. All the books contain these 3 sets, but what is inside may be different. So, Atlas English is new because it's a course. You will have a look at the book later. The book is 4 colors. The drawings are authentic because there is an artist who made the drawings. It's not us. It's not taken from the internet. It's originally drawn for the book. There is high quality paper. If you take the book, you will see that it's not different from those that come from abroad. Sometimes they are better. There is a beautiful layout, or at least this is how I feel it is. There are 3 aims for writing these series. As I said, it complies with the Moroccan context and Moroccan pupils' needs and interests. It develops language learning skills using very dynamic and motivating activities. It develops pupils' confidence in learning English. When you have an overloaded textbook, students feel that they are overwhelmed with too much vocabulary, too many structures, too many things to learn, and very little time is given to the skills of communicating and doing things with the language. So students should feel that they are happy when they are learning English, and not they are pressured by the language, the content, and learning too many things which are too difficult for them at a certain age. So there should be a sense of achievement. So the pace is not quick and is not slow. It's up to the level of the students we have in primary Moroccan schools. So as I said, the course is composed of 6 books, and each level is composed of a pupil's book. Let me show you. So this is the pupil's book with an interactive CD. So the CD works with the computer, and students do things with the language, and they get feedback instantly. And there is a 2-color workbook and a teacher's book with audio series that contains the dialogues and the pronunciation for vocabulary, and also the songs. The first 2 books, that is number 1 and 2, book number 1 and 2, they are just meant for sensitizing students to the English language pronunciation and words and vocabulary. They are not really a heavy use of language in complex contexts. But when they start in book 3, it's the real beginning of the learning of the language. We did this because we have a problem in Moroccan context. Some schools start in year 1 teaching English, some schools start in year 3, some schools even start in year 5. So we have to solve this dilemma. And so what we did is that book 1 and 2, for example, book 1 deals with alphabets. Book 2 deals with vowels and phonemes, but all of them is just playing with words, playing games and so on. They are not really very earnest learning of the language. But for book 3, it's a real beginning, where you have the 4 skills and the different activities that you know in language teaching. So if your school starts in year 3, you start with book 3. It's the first stage. If it starts with year 5, you start with book 3, because it's the first stage. But if you start with year 1, then you can use book 1 and book 2. As we said, the material is graded according to the level and age of students, and the activities are varied to keep the pupils motivated throughout the units. If we have a look at the teacher's book, I just want to give you an idea about the chart of the book and how the activities are divided. So this is the chart, and it is divided into 4 parts. Okay, the part 1 gives the units, the themes. There are 8 units in each book. So the book is theme-based. So when you say hello, it means that introducing oneself and say greeting each other and so on. And we say the alphabets, from A to Z. And then my school bag, the content of the bag, and classroom and so on. So it's theme-based. All the activities revolve around a certain theme. It's the backbone of the vocabulary, the structures, the communication, the functions, and so on. And then we have the first big section. It's language learning focus. We have communication, vocabulary, and structures. This is the core of the unit. Communication is the communicating function. For example, if you take hello, it's greet people, introduce oneself, say one's first name, ask and tell people about one's hometown and country of origin. So this is just saying hello. So this is the communication. For vocabulary, you have greetings. How do you say them? What words do you use? You have names of cities and countries. You have to learn them. It's part of vocabulary. And then you have the structure. The structure is the first person. The simple present of to be, I am. What's your name? Where are you from? So it's the simple present of the verb to be. And the structure also, we have my name is, I am, what's your name, and where are you from, and so on. So this is just to give you an idea about this section. So communication, vocabulary, and structures. The other section, which is the third one, skills, work, and activities. And here we are dealing with the 4 skills: speaking, listening, writing, and reading. And then the last part, we call it enrichment. It's the use of all the things they learned in a unit in a meaningful way, in a meaningful context. They are going to do things, they are going to be involved in projects, very simple projects, and they are going to have fun, playing games and so on, and they are going to sing, chant certain simple songs. So this is the structure of the whole book, and we follow it in all the books. So as I said, it's interactive, it's learner-centered. Pupils are the center of the activities. They listen and speak and write in a meaningful way. They exchange ideas and facts about themselves, each other, and the environment. There's a balanced mixture of Moroccan and foreign cultures. It is theme-based, and so on. Now, these are the components of a unit. I talked about the whole book There are 8 units, but within each unit we have these components. At the beginning we have learned new vocabulary and structures through listening and pictures and repetition. And then we have practicing with a friend. What you learn, you have to practice it in peers, because language is sort of talking to each other, answering each other's questions. And then we move to the skills, listen and do activities. So it's not just listening for the sake of listening, but listening and doing things. And then reading and doing activities, writing again, listening and singing, playing games, reading stories. At the end of each 2 units, we have a progress check to see whether the students have got certain problems, whether they need certain remedial work or certain feedback or reteaching of some materials. And at the end, they have at the end of the book, there is a picture dictionary classified according to the vocabulary they have in each unit. For example, these are the vocabulary they have in Unit 1, Unit 2, and so on. And it's presented in a visual way. So there is the word and there is a picture. And you know, students learn from pictures more than from verbal explanations. If you have any question or any comment, please stop me and
So I'd like to.
Okay.
First, I'd like to congratulate you for this homemade.
Thanks a lot.
But
Thank you.
the first thing that caught my attention is the design. Okay?
Thank you.
I don't know who is the designer of the book. Since it is a homemade book, I like that there should be some reference to Moroccan emblem, for example, Moroccan flag, Moroccan and historic money, especially Moroccan flag. When we have, for example, Atlas, Atlas English.
Yes.
I was, for example, I had the image that logo should be one part, for example, on the corner of the book. There should be part of Moroccan flag to show us. Because here, what shows us that it is Moroccan production, it is just Moroccan context. Okay. An innovation and creative way.
No.
I saw flag somewhere.
Okay, no, I'm going to show you the book, and there is a photo here that is repeated on all the books. The photo contains a Manara.
Yes.
In Marrakesh, and behind it there are the Atlas Mountains.
Yes, this is good.
And beside it there is Big B. And the name itself has double meaning.
Yes.
It's Atlas because Atlas is in Morocco, and it's Atlas because it's a universal word. Yeah, it's global. And also answering your question. There's a Moroccan flag and it's a British flag. And in the activities, you always find something Moroccan and something British. We were aware of this balance because it's one of the aims.
Additional.
Yes.
If you allow me just to point to the.
Yes.
So there's 1 in 5, I saw 5.
This is 5. Because there are 6. There are 6. I just took this at random. Any other comments?
For posters and flashcards.
Yeah, it's part of the additional materials that when the schools opt for the book, there will be provided supporting materials. And for supporting materials, there are 2 ways of supporting the book. There is support online, because we are going to have a website which is fed regularly. There are always activities that teachers can resort to and add and so on. And there is a pedagogical pack that contains flashcards and posters. So the posters contain the context of the themes, which can be used for presenting the theme or creating a context or whatever, and the flashcards for vocabulary and to use with writing or speaking or whatever. The price is really competitive. I'll talk about it in a minute. So each book is divided into 8 units. Each unit revolves around a specific topic. Each unit is taught in 4 sessions. Every unit is divided into 4 teaching sessions, 40 to 50 minutes. You can add materials if you feel that there are materials that can be interesting to your students and you know your students, so there is enough space for that. There is a progress check at the end of each 2 units and an interactive scene. This is how the activities are presented. So here you have just listening for pronunciation, because students are or need to be exposed to the language. They don't hear it outside. They hear it only, in most cases, in the classroom. So there should be a maximum of exposure to the language. So most of the activities are based on listening. Even for reading activities, there is listening. So listen, point, just recognition, and then repeat. We move to another type of activity related to reading. So they are going to read and then match with the pictures and also provide the vocabulary that they have learned previously. Here we have a text, a complete text. I think this is book 4, where the students read a text and do comprehension activities. The comprehension activities are not overloaded. It's very simple, and the students can do them easily to have that sense of achievement. Then they are going to practice in speaking. So we have listening, writing, reading, and speaking. And most of the time they are practicing something related to them personally. So here they are going to talk about themselves, what they can do and what they cannot do. Okay, the same thing with the workbook is divided into 8 units, and the activities go hand in hand with the pupils' activities. So whenever you have a lesson in the teacher's book, it gives you which homework goes with that lesson. If you have enough time in class, you can do the activities in class if you want to, because they are compatible. And as I said, the workbook activities are included as homework in the lesson plan. So this is how the workbook is designed. It's not extra material, but it's practicing what students have learned in class. It's kind of independent learning, and also for the teacher to check the students' learning. We try to have varied activities, so completing from pictures and matching and then talking about themselves. This is where they are going to have different signs and they are going to answer accordingly. And then here we have grammar, indefinite article, a or an, and then here we have vocabulary with an and a. We try to give straightforward instructions, step by step, and sometimes we give alternatives or extra materials which is not in the book. Another thing that they can do in class with their students, it's not in the book but it's in classroom. We also advise teachers to use the materials according to their own convictions. If they think that a certain activity can be objectives of the lesson, of the unit, sorry, the objectives of the unit, and then the main targeted skills, the key structures and grammar, and the vocabulary that they are going to use during that unit. And then we have lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, and lesson 4. And at the end, you have the homework. And also the scripts for the dialogues and for the vocabulary and for the songs. There are certain things which are very special about Atlas English series which are not in the other books. Here we have stories. Sometimes in the books that we use, you can have stories in some books. In some books you cannot. It depends on the conception of the book. But here we have stories. And songs. We have a song with each unit. A song which is original. And I'm going to talk about songs later. And then we have grammar summary in the workbook. In the books that we have, sometimes we do not have grammar summary. But here we have grammar summaries in a very simple way, through pictures, through context, and through examples. And then you have a picture dictionary at the end, and an interactive CD. In most books, you have 2 or 3 of these things, but not all of them at once. So what we did is that we studied the books that we have in Morocco, or even those who are not used in Morocco, and we tried to take best practices that we think are most suitable to our Moroccan students. Another thing is that there is a word list. Normally, you have word lists only in advanced books. But here we have it in primary schools. It's helpful for the students and for the teachers themselves. Do you know what sort of vocabulary they are required to know and to learn and to practice? And almost the same vocabulary is presented in a visual way. So it's easy for the students to go back to the books and revise. It's meant for revision. This is meant for control. Now, the stories, most of them are one-page stories, very simple. There is a context, there are characters, and there is a story inside. For singing, sometimes we have some activities to do. For example, here is a song, there is a structure for colors and for nature here. So look at the sky. Is it black? Is it green? Is it blue? It's blue. They are going to do the same thing here. Look at the sun. Is it red? Is it blue? No.
It's blue.
Is it yellow? It's yellow. And the same thing, they are going to do it in class. And they are mentioned here. So there is a kind of reproduction, and students, they can use the same rhyming, the same rhythm, to reproduce their own song.
Well, I warn you for your hard work. This is really...
It's a 2-year hard work, in fact. It's 2-year hard work.
Yeah.
For the project, they are simple. So students, by the end of the unit, they are going to conduct a project. The project can be drawing and coloring, can be cutting and sticking, can be talking about their families or themselves, so it's related to them. And they are going to talk, for example, about their favorite color. So they are simple, but they are doable. They are achievable. The students can do them. Thank you. And then, here is the grammar summary. Here are the pronouns, here are the, as I said, adjectives, and there are examples. We don't give grammatical terminology which is a little bit complicated. We just give lists, examples, charts, pictures, and so on. And students can learn by themselves If they want to revise simple present, they can go to the workbook. If you want to revise pronouns and so on, you can go to the workbook. Now for the interactive CD, it's an opportunity for students to learn by themselves and to get feedback instantly and to enjoy themselves. They can work with the CD at home if they want to. This kind of practice. And you know that students at this age, they go to the internet, they go to the computer. The first thing they do is that they go to the computer when they go home. So when they have a CD-ROM with English, we are sure that they are going to use it, and they can repeat as long as, or as much, or as many times they wish to. And there is feedback instantly whether the answer is correct or not. I'm going to show you an example here. For example, if you go to the CD-ROM, just to show a few examples, I'm not going to go into details about this. Okay, I'll take CD number 1. It's an auto-run CD. I forgot to introduce Salah Lasser. He is part of the team who worked in the book. He has been very resourceful. So if you have the CD, if you put it in the computer, it runs automatically. You don't need to play the CD. So this is the home page. You click on enter, and then you have the units. Okay, from unit 1 to unit 8. You select the unit you want at random or in a classified classified way. So let's go to unit 2, for example. So here you have 5 activities. In each unit you have 5 activities with different types of exercises. If I go, for example, to activity 1, you have here matching. And here you have scores. If the matching is correct, they get 1. If it's not correct, they get -1. Because sometimes you can just throw them at random. If it doesn't go, you bring another one. So the incorrect trials are counted as minus. For example, if I do this, it's a cat. You have -1.
Moroccan way.
Yes. If you go like this, you have 1 here. And then, number 2, activity 2, it's vocabulary, scrambled words. So the students are going to write the words in the correct format. The first one is pencil. The second one is ruler. Okay, let me make a mistake, and then I check. So I have 1 correct.
But all of them are written backwards, Pencil, if you start from the right to the left,
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes
it's just by chance. Yes. Sometimes you do it backwards, sometimes you do it scrambled. It's only in this exercise that you have it backwards. And then you check. If you want to check, you will get the answers. You have to finish all of this.
It should be there, not unscrambled, but write it from backward.
No, if you tell them to write it backward, it's easy. It's not challenging. Now here you have multiple choice. It's A or N. So they are all set on A, and when they go here, they just select. Let me just do them in random. Okay, then you check. So when you check, you have 2 correct and 1. 2 correct and the others are not correct. And if you click here, you get the right. So there is feedback instantly. It's independent, it's not. And then here, yes it is, no it isn't, okay? You just drag and drop, another technique. Okay, let me do it this way. And then you check. You have to complete all of them in order to get the feedback. I'm doing them at random, I'm not paying attention to. So you have the correction, and when they are correct, and then you have the score here, 3 out of 6. So when the students go over the exercises and they feel that they have problems with certain, they can revise and come back and do it again until they get 100% correct answers. I'll go over the others. Here they are going to write complete sentences. So this is about writing. And then it's the end of it.
Are they available to order?
Now they are available just for schools as samples to study. When they decide whether to take the books or not, then they will be available in libraries. So it's not possible to put them everywhere.
If they're interested,
It will be in Al-Muka and yeah. Okay, I'll give you an example about the songs. We have different types of singing. And in fact, this is a challenge that we had. When we wrote the songs, we didn't pay attention to the rhymes and rhythms and musical compositions. And when we want to sing them, it's a big headache. How can you sing them, and who is going to sing them? And so this is part of the things that we learned personally. I learned a lot from this activity. The script is written by the whole team, but for the singing, it's collaborative work between 4 people. The one who is the owner of the studio, he's also a singer, and there are 2, one boy and a girl, and I was with them, and we started the songs, and you will see to what extent we succeeded in that, but they are original, they are really original. As I said, there are types of singings. You have the songs which are universal. For example, Frère Jacques is a universal song. You can sing it yourself and put it in a book, or you can change the lyrics and keep the music. So there are certain songs like this. It's universal, the composer is unknown, it's copyright free. So we took a few of them, just because we want to present to them the kind of music that children in UK or in the United States use in their childhood. And at the same time, there are some music which should be up to date. If you look at the English books, most of the singings are a little bit childish to the Moroccan. I'll give you an example of a song from Book 1. In Book 1, we have alphabets. Each unit revolves around 4 alphabets. And by the end, you have all the alphabets. And you know the song of all the alphabets. A, B, C, D, and so on. It's known. But these ones are really challenging to compose the music. But listen to it.
B, C, D. A, 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 B,
apple, B school ball, C school car, and T school door.
Yeah. So we have the same music for all the units except the last one. Because students remember the music and they like to repeat it.
Yeah, the teacher's so good.
And then we have, I'll give you an example of the rhythms of music that is universal. And from the music you will know which song it is. So it's easy for them to remember. So here you have the present continuous with clothes and colors. So the songs go together with the content of the units. We have been talking about supplementing materials. We are thinking of transforming the dialogues and the songs into videos. And this is just the first trial, just trying to brainstorm and come out with some attractive presentation, video presentations. So this is an example, just an example. And this is one of the musics of the music compositions that were really fantastic, and we were surprised a bit by the way it was created. I'll give you the opportunity to judge yourself. This is not in the CDs and it's not in the books, it's in the internet. You can find it in Facebook or
Sandals and a
Another example which is very short. Okay, this is all. If you have any questions, you are welcome.